Probable cause and reasonable suspicion, they've caused many law students to fail criminal law, and they're not even lawyers now because they just couldn't get this. I'm going to boil it down for you free of charge. I want you to consider the backdrop for our discussion today as a simple idea. What gives the cops the right to interrupt your day? Because we're all busy, we all have things to do. Being stopped by the police is never a happy thing. Even if I deserve it, like I deserve it for speeding all the time, I'm rolling stop signs. I get that. I'm not a perfect driver, but that's what we're talking about today. Why do they get to stop somebody? You know, this is America. Cops cannot pull you over because they just feel like it. They have to have an articulable reason to do it. And we call those reasons reasonable suspicion, probable cause, or a warrant. And we're not even covering warrants today, but we're just covering the other stuff. So the weakest excuse a cop's going to have to pull you over or stop you on the street is what we call reasonable suspicion that you've committed a crime. It's a very low level of information that they have to have that they're suspecting a crime has been or will be committed. They don't need solid evidence for this. But it does have to be more than a hunch, does have to be more than a gut feeling. If all an officer has is reasonable suspicion, they do get to stop you, but they can't search your car, they can't arrest you. There's some things they can't do, right? Now, I would like to run through a couple of real life examples. Our first one is pretty basic. Let's say that your wife suspects you of cheating. Now, some women out there believe that the very fact that we are men is going to provide you a base level, a constant level of reasonable suspicion of shenanigans. Naturally, I disagree. Stay with me here. In legal terms, what would be reasonable suspicion that you're cheating? Aside from the fact that you're a man. Let's get a little beyond that, even though I would say there's some must-see TV on this very issue. Eddie Murphy's classic Raw, check that out. So, to get your wife to a level of reasonable suspicion that cheating is afoot, let's say she spots you on your phone, you're texting late at night, and then you quickly hide it as she approaches. You're hiding your phone and doing all these things. That is reasonable suspicion, but it isn't proof that you're cheating. After all, you could be hiding that surprise all-inclusive trip to Sandals, or you could be hiding the fact that you just got that new bow for that new Lexus you're going to have parked outside. You're going to surprise her with it. You've seen the commercials with the big bows. So you might be hiding something good. But still, she's got a reasonable suspicion, but she's got no hard evidence that you're up to no good. Now, for a legal example of reasonable suspicion, let's take an officer sees a guy stumbling out of a bar, getting into his car, drives off swerving all over the road, right? At this point, the officer does have a reasonable suspicion that this guy is driving under the influence and gets to stop the person to investigate further. But at that point, he's not getting his handcuffs out. He doesn't have probable cause to arrest this person because there's no real evidence of a crime here. We just have some stumbling. We just have some swerving. But it gives us a good segue into probable cause, because probable cause means that an officer actually has some hard evidence that you've committed a crime or you're going to commit a crime. And when he's got that evidence, he can actually arrest you for that crime. So in our untrusting wife example, let's say your wife comes home early and discovers you making out with another woman, but your clothes are still on. You're not in the act, but you're getting there. Does she have probable cause at that point to convict you of cheating? Well, I don't know about you, but I'm not allowed to make out with other women or even have them at the house when my wife's not there. So yes, your wife has established probable cause for cheating. You are done. Again, for a great defense on being caught in the act, you should consult Eddie Murphy. He's got a really good analysis on this. But I think all this will be cut out by the web people because they're going to censor me. I've now made 2 Eddie Murphy references in this video, and that is 2 more, by the way, than I'm allowed. So, getting back to our example, let's take the situation for a guy that stumbled out of the bar, swerving. That's reasonable suspicion. And then the cop pulls him over based on that reasonable suspicion, rolls down the window, poof, smell of alcohol everywhere. Driver blows in the little machine over the legal limit. And then the driver's like, damn, I am so drunk, officer, I shouldn't have drove. Well, guess what? At this point, it's not reasonable suspicion. It's probable cause. We've gone all the way up to having hard evidence of DUI. And that officer is going to arrest that driver for DUI. Again, initially, a guy stumbling out of the bar and swerving a bit, that could have been a bad food reaction. That could have been, well, I haven't slept in 4 days. I just broke up with my girl. I mean, there's 100 reasons why we're disoriented. But once the smell of alcohol and all that and the admission to being drunk, then you got probable cause. So I hope you've learned something about reasonable suspicion and probable cause. And I hope that if you have a legal problem in Central Florida, give our office a call. This is what we do for a living. And I thank you for watching. Take care.